Greetings and welcome. We are in freshman English, and today we are working with Romeo and Juliet for Act 3, Scene 4, and Scene 5. Our ambition today is to finish, if we can, with the third act. Let's first of all be on page 881 of your hymnals. I just want to make a couple of quick observations here. Let's talk about the ways that Shakespeare likes to screw things up. That's the way I like to say it. And later, when I teach you as seniors, I'll make this observation. Shakespeare loves to do this. By that, I mean the following. Things can be going along kind of nicely, and Shakespeare has a tendency to like to want to reach down into his own play and really kind of screw stuff up. Now, things have been going kind of badly for Juliet. Let's say it out loud. But nothing the way it's going to go south at the end of Act 3. First of all, it's going to begin with Daddy's conversation with Paris. This will resume an earlier conversation. Now, let's point out something. They say, cliché-ishly, that the road to hell is paved with good what? You guys ever hear this on a bad country song? The road to hell is paved with good intentions. With good intentions. And we're gonna see this in this third act. Daddy thinks he's helping things out. Juliet is clearly very unhappy. I know. Let's take care of the problem by... Right, so we'll marry her. That'll be a solution to all of the problems. Now, we'll say, that's kind of a strange way to think about it, but more importantly, we'll ask, how does Father, Juliet's dad, change his position in regards to marriage, and why? Let's go ahead and study this real brief scene starting on 881. Follow it.
Things have fallen out so unluckily that we have had no time to move our daughter. Look you, she loved her kinsman Tibble dearly, and so did I. Well, we were born to die. 'Tis very late, she'll not come down tonight. I promise you, but for your company, I would have been in bed an hour ago.
It's interesting. Daddy's observation about Tybalt's death is one line. We were born to die. In other words, tells you something about Juliet's dad's feelings about Tybalt. Maybe he kind of feels Tybalt got what was coming to him. Remember at the party, Tybalt was the one ready to jack Romeo, and it was Daddy who said, stand down. Mama has a different view of the whole project. And then Daddy will decide, you know what? I'm just going to make my daughter's day, and I'm going to come out with a great plan. All of us, 3B observation, all of us have probably been in a situation where we were given a gift on Christmas or whatever, and the person who gave it to us, Mom, Dad, thoroughly convinced this was going to be like the best present of all time for you. And the minute you looked at it, you're like, ah. And they were so excited. They were like jumping up and down because they just knew this is going to be the best present of all time. And so you're stuck in a nasty dilemma. Poor Juliet will get stuck in a similar dilemma. Surprise! Oh, not so much.
For more times to wound. Madam, good night. Commend me to your daughter.
I will, and know her mind early tomorrow. Tonight she's mewed up to her heaven.
Sir Paris, I will make a desperate tender of my child's love. I think she will be ruled in all respects by me. Nay more, I doubt it not.
What do we call that? When Dad says, Juliet will do whatever I tell her, I'm pretty sure. I have no doubt about that. What do we call that? What's this line? Ironic. What's ironic about that? He thinks he knows his daughter. I'll tell her to get married and she'll do it. Of course, she can't do that because see what? She's already married, yeah.
Go you to her ere you go to bed, and acquaint her here of my son Paris' love, and bid her mark you me on Wednesday next. But soft, what day is this?
Monday, my lord.
Monday? Well, Wednesday is too soon. A Thursday let it be. A Thursday tell her she shall be married to this noble earl. Will you be ready? Do you like this haste? We'll keep no great ado, a friend or two, for, hark you, Tybalt being slain so late, it may be thought we held him carelessly, being our kinsman if we revel much. Therefore we'll have some half a dozen friends and there an end. But what say you to Thursday?
My lord, I would that Thursday were tomorrow.
Well, get you gone. A Thursday be it then. Go you to Juliet ere you go to bed. Prepare a wife against this wedding day. Farewell, my lord. Lights to my chamber, ho, afore me. Oh, it is so very late that we may call it early by and by. Good night.
So, jot down in your notes, what's kind of interesting about Daddy's rashness here? What's that saying? The apple doesn't fall very far from the tree. What does that cliche mean? See, have you heard this before?
Probably going to be like your parents.
It's an analysis of generational, right? That is to say, you end up kind of like the people that raised you. Some of you will say there is absolutely no way that that will ever happen to me. And, you know, the argument is, yeah, sometimes it works out that way. Notice here that this is interesting kind of dynamic. In what ways is Juliet's daddy? He even uses the word haste at line 23 or so. In what ways is Juliet's daddy kind of like Juliet? Or maybe Juliet's a lot like her dad. In what way? They both make what kinds of judgments? What kinds of decisions? What would you call that? I can do it like this. But what's an adjective? Snap, rash, quick. Keep going. What are some other words that come to mind for you? Speedy, poorly thought out, less than wise. Dad says, hey, I know, Juliet's really sad, so let's just marry her off. What day is it? By the way, what day is it? It's Monday. We'll marry her off by Wednesday. 2 days. Oh, you know what? Probably looks bad if we have too much of a big party here, given that Tybalt just died. Why don't we do this? We'll marry her off Wednesday's too soon. Let's go the day after. Right? So instead of going in 2 days, we'll go in 3 days. And we're going to marry her off because we got this other thing. We got to bury Tybalt. Just jot down in your notes. What does this tell you about Juliet's dad? He's an interesting cat, right? In other words, oh, we're all born to die. I know. Let's marry Juliet off. That'll work great. How much time has Juliet spent with Paris?
Like 5 minutes.
0, right? 0. Maybe they saw each other at the party. Maybe not, right? Notice Paris's response. He says what about Thursday? I wish it was tomorrow. Tells you what? Yeah, let's do it. That would be great. No worries. Now let's finish the play. The act, I mean. We're now on page 882. This is 3-5. All right, here we go. This is the famed bedroom scene. Now, the first thing we want to say about the famed bedroom scene is that there actually is no bedroom scene. Okay? That's the first thing we want to point out. Romeo and Juliet will conduct these conversations on the balcony. When this film is made, almost always this is a film that is shot, a scene that is shot in the bedroom itself because it's such an iconic and a famous scene. This will be the last time, in your notes, this will be the last time that Romeo and Juliet will speak. See, this is what's interesting about this play. This play is called Romeo and Juliet, but we are about to end the third act, and we will not see Romeo and Juliet speak together again for the rest of the play. Which begs a really intriguing question. If the play is about Romeo and Juliet, and they stop talking together at the end of the third act, dude, we still got Act 4, Act 5 to go, right? As I've said to you many times, this is not a play just about Romeo and Juliet. It's really a play about two households, both alike in dignity, in fair Verona where we lay our scene. This is a political play. It's a play about families and their family dynamics, right? Secondly, Romeo will have snuck into Juliet's bedroom. They will have done what they do. And it's now morning time. Notice the series of questions. Juliet will begin by saying, "Wilt thou be gone?" Notice Romeo will say, "It ain't morning. It's still nighttime." Juliet will say, "Oh, good. I'm glad it's nighttime." Romeo and Juliet have to accept the fact, no, it is morning. And in the process of it being morning, it's time for Romeo to get out of Dodge. The only person that knows that he's there other than Friar Lawrence is who? The nurse is the only other one. The sense of timing is going to be brutal. Let's write it down. Shakespeare is really going to make this scene nasty. And it is a nasty scene. It does really move the emotions of an audience all over the place. Romeo and Juliet are happy in that they've consummated sexually their marriage, and that's been fun that night. But they're sad in that they have to separate. But they only have to separate for a small period of time because he's running off to Mantua, and then Friar Lawrence is going to solve everything, don't you think so? And then all of a sudden Juliet will say, standing up in the balcony and he's down below, It's almost like I'm looking at you in your grave. She has this strange kind of premonition. This is the last time we'll ever talk. It is the last time they'll ever speak. Then Juliet turns around to meet Mama. And Mama says, honey, I got great news. Your daddy is going to marry you off. Juliet will say very interesting things like, I would rather marry the killer of Tybalt than marry Paris. And again, the audience gets it. They totally get it. It's like dark irony, right? Finally, Juliet just has to say it out loud. Ma, I am not going to marry this guy. I can't marry this guy. She says, fine, you talk to Dad. Dad, you know, that's that famous thing, right? Wait till your dad gets home. You tell him. Capulet walks into the bedroom. He's expecting all kinds of yippee, jumping up and down. Juliet's crying. Then Mama will say something really, really tragic. She says, she will none. She gives you thanks. I wish she were married to her grave. Now let's jot this down in your notes. This scene raises lots and lots of questions, but one of them is this. Do you think it's possible that parents ever say things to kids that as soon as they say it, right after the fact, they go, oh, crap, that was like the totally worst thing I could have said. But because they're parents, they can't just immediately go, I'm sorry, I shouldn't have said that. Because they have a sense of pride, and they're their parent, and they're supposed to always be right, etc., etc. Juliet's father will unload on Juliet in the most demonstrative of ways and the most unsettling of ways. He will ultimately say to her, you will marry Paris, and if you don't marry Paris, you can go live in the street, which is code language for you can go be a prostitute and die in the street. I completely renounce any responsibility for you as father, which is really weird because Capulet seemed like a pretty decent father to her. And he really seemed to love her. And you have a sense that he does love her, but now he's lost his cool. His temper goes like that, and off he goes, you know, kind of like a bottle rocket. And he says some really horrific things. And then they all leave, leaving Juliet alone with the nurse. The nurse sees maybe her way out, as in the nurse's way out. And the nurse will say, you know, maybe you should just marry Paris. Romeo's in another town. Nobody ever knows you got married. Paris will never be told. Why don't you just marry Paris? And that gets us off the hook. Now that's not actually what she says. I'm speaking in code language. Why would she want Juliet to maybe marry Paris? It does get her off the hook. In other words, one of these kinds of things. Well, we can solve that problem. Juliet's like, are you serious? You do know that I was with Romeo just a few minutes ago. We spent the night together. I can't turn around and marry Paris. First of all, I'm married in the eyes of God now. That is to say, we've consummated our marriage, blah, blah, blah. And Juliet's nurse is like, no, I think you probably should just go ahead and get married. Fascinating. It will be at that point, Juliet has to make a decision because she now needs some help. Her help will come by going to Friar Lawrence.
Does the nurse have a husband? Yeah, Peter.
See, that's an interesting question. The nurse's husband appears to now be gone. That is to say, he was here, and then she seems to suggest that he's now gone. In other words, the only thing the nurse now has, you got it. And, of course, by extension, the family of the Capulets that she takes care of. What kind of response do you imagine the nurse would receive from Lord Capulet, good or bad, when he finds out she was a part of letting her daughter get married? See, she's in a serious fix. She realizes she is responsible in some ways for a lot of the poop that's about to go down. She's trying to wipe her hands of it, wash her hands of it. One easy way to do it is, dude, just pretend like none of that other stuff happened and just marry Paris. All right, here we go. Let's break our heart. All right, the last of the third act. This is a pretty brutal scene. Let's watch it. First of all, we've got the famed bedroom scene.
Will thou be gone? It is not yet near day. It was the nightingale and not the lark that pierced the fearful hollow of thine ear. Nightly she sings on yon pomegranate tree. Believe me, love, it was the nightingale.
It was the lark, the herald of the morn, a nightingale. Look, love, what angel speaks to race the severing clouds in yonder east. Night's candles are burnt out and drunken
Romeo
days
says it's
stand
morning. I gotta
still on
go.
the misty mountain top. I must be gone and live, or stay and die.
Yon light is not daylight. I know it, It is a meteor that the sun exhales to be this night a torchbearer, and light thee on thy way to Mantua. Therefore stay yet. Thou needst not to be gone.
Let me be dead, let me be put to death. I am content, so thou wilt have it so. I say yon grey is not the morning's eye, it is but the pale reflex of Cynthia's brow. No, that is not the lark whose notes do beat the vaulty heaven so high above our heads. I have more care to stay than will to go. Come death and welcome Juliet, wills it so. How is't, my soul? Talk, it is not day.
It is. It is. Hie hence. Be gone. Away. It is the lark that sings so out of tune, straining harsh discords and unpleasing sharps. Some say the lark makes sweet division. This doth not so, for she divideth us. Some say the lark and loathed toad change eyes, oh no, would they had changed voices too. Since arm from arm that voice of us affray, hunting thee hence with hunts up to the day. So now be gone, more light and light it grows.
More light and light, more dark and dark our woes.
Uh-oh. I told you, she's always interrupting. Follow these lines. These are the last words Romeo and Juliet will speak to each other.
And let life out.
Farewell. Farewell. One kiss, and I'll descend.
Art thou gone so, love? Lord, I, husband, friend, I must hear from thee every day in the hour, for in a minute there are many days. Oh, by this count I shall be much in years, ere I again behold my Romeo.
This is interesting to think about the iconic way Shakespeare's playing a game. Where is Romeo and Juliet physically on the stage? Think about this. Right, so where is Romeo and Juliet? Where is Juliet? Let's start there. Up or down?
Up.
Always up. Where is Romeo?
Down.
He is down. So she's looking at him down. He's looking at her up. Simulating what scene? You're right, simulating the earlier scene from Act 2. So both times Romeo and Juliet will be speaking in this way. She's looking down and then she says, you look like you're in a grave. Like I'm looking at you in a grave. Will we see each other again? Romeo, brutal irony. Oh, of course. Dark.
I will omit no opportunity that may convey my greetings, love, to thee.
Oh, thinkst thou we shall ever meet again?
I doubt it not, and all these woes shall serve for sweet discourses in our times to come.
Oh, God, I have an ill-divining soul. Methinks I see thee now thou art below as one dead in the bottom of a tomb. Either my eyesight fails, or thou lookst pale.
And to trust me, love, in my eyes so leave. Dry sorrow drinks our blood. Adieu. Adieu.
When I lecture Shakespeare, students will often ask, and it's of course easily asked here as well, when Shakespeare sits down to write these plays, does he like have some sense of all the different ways that he's fulfilling the promise of genius, or is this just kind of natural? I mean, does he just kind of accidentally fall into it? So, for example, what did Romeo say right before he went to the party where he met Juliet?
I feel like I'm gonna.
I got a bad feeling. I got a bad feeling about what? What's he say?
I might die.
Tonight's the night that will start everything that will lead ultimately to my death. He seems untimely death. He seems to almost reference fortune. Look what Juliet's next lines are. Fascinating. Of course, you're watching Genius, right? You're watching. Nobody can do what this cat does in terms of writing these plays. Watch what she says.
Oh, fortune. Fortune.
Notice all the F's in this line.
Oh, then call thee fickle. If thou art fickle, what dost thou with him that is renowned for faith? Be fickle, fortune, for then I hope thou wilt not keep him long, but send him back.
Oh, daughter,
No.
our
that calls. It is my lady mother. Is she not down so late or up so early? What unaccustomed cause procures her hither?
Why? How now, Juliet?
Madam, I am not well.
Evermore weeping for your cousin's death. What, will thou wash him from his grave with tears? And if thou couldst not make him live, therefore have done. Some grief shows much of love, but much of grief shows still some want of wit.
Yet let me weep for such a feeling loss.
So should you feel the loss, but not the friend which you weep for.
Feeling so the loss, I cannot choose but ever weep the friend.
Now all these lines have double meanings. Mama assumes she's crying because why? Tybalt's dead. Juliet, of course, Tybalt's not even in her brain. The reason she's crying is because Romeo just left. So the words she speaks are all about Romeo. The words her mama speaks all about Tybalt. Watch this. Fascinating. Double speak. Watch this.
Thou weeps not so much for his death, as that the villain lives which slaughtered him.
She calls him villain.
That same villain Romeo.
Villain and he be many miles asunder. God pardon him, I do with all my heart. And yet no man like he doth grieve my heart.
That's because the traitor murderer lives.
I, madam, from the reach of these my hands, would none but I might venge my cousin's death.
We will have vengeance for it.
Juliet says, I wish that the killer, Romeo, was here right now and I put my hands on him so I could get vengeance. Of course, we understand what that means. Mama says, oh, don't worry about it. I guarantee you, we're going to get our vengeance. Remember where this play is set? Where are we? We're in Italy. Yeah, we're in Italy. Italians are known for one thing for sure, and that is somebody's going to get jacked if you mess with family. So she says, don't worry about it. I take care of everything. Watch this.
Then weep no more. I'll send one in Mantua where that same vanished renegade doth live, shall give him such an unaccustomed dram that he shall soon keep Tybalt company. And then I hope thou wilt be satisfied.
Fascinating. What's Mama say? How are they going to kill him?
Assassin.
How though? Read it. How are they going to kill him?
Poison.
They're going to poison him, yeah. Give him a dram of evil. What's ironic about that? Yeah, nice one, Butterfield. Good one. Butterfield goes like this, right. In other words, Shakespeare's playing all kinds of interesting games. What's it like, though, for Mama to say to Juliet, the man that she's married to and just spent the night with, don't worry, I've got an assassin that's going to go to Mantua. We're going to find this kid, and we're going to make him drink poison and kill him. You can imagine the look in Juliet's face. Look at what she says back.
I never shall be satisfied with Romeo till I behold him. Dead is my poor heart so for a kinsman vexed. Madam, if you could find out but a man to bear a poison, I would temper it, that Romeo should upon receipt thereof soon sleep in quiet. Oh, how my heart abhors to hear him named and cannot come to him. To wreak the love I bore my cousin upon his body that had slaughtered him.
Find thou the means, and I'll find such a man. But now, I'll tell thee joyful tidings, girl.
Ah, joy comes well in such a needed time. What are they, I beseech your ladyship?
Well, thou hast a careful father, child. One who, to put thee from thy heaviness, hath sorted out a sudden day of joy that thou expect'st not, nor I looked not for.
Oh, madam, in happy time. What day is that?
Marry, my child, early next Thursday morn, the gallant young and noble gentleman, the county Paris, at St. Peter's Church, shall happily make thee there a joyful bride.
No, by St. Peter's Church and Peter too, he shall not make me there a joyful bride. I wonder this haste.
That's interesting. Notice the word haste gets used a second time. Juliet, of course, acted in haste, but that's a different kind of haste. She's like, are you kidding me? Butterfield.
Okay, so Lady Capulet, she said that Paris was like young.
Yeah.
But isn't he?
Well, the word young here will be in relationship to her and Juliet's dad. In other words, if Juliet's mama is 50 and Paris is 30 and Juliet is 13, Paris is young in relationship to mama, but obviously not in relationship to Juliet, right?
But her mom should be pretty young, though. 'Cause
She's probably young herself, yes.
Because she said that she was younger than her.
So she's
when
probably
she had her.
That's right. That's right. So
Yeah,
the mother
in her early
could be, and in fact, when you watch the Leonardo DiCaprio version of this, you will get a sense that Mama almost seems to be flirting with Paris. Like she kind of likes him as a potential option for her daughter, which is a little bit, screwy. Notice. That's right.
So Paris is older than she is.
Well, it all depends. I mean, Paris can be in his 20s, basically the same age as her as well, right? Shakespeare really doesn't give us enough information here to know actual ages. But you're right. You're good to point out the fact that she uses the word young. Juliet will say, "By St. Peter's Church, and Peter too, he shall not there make me a joyful bride." Why does she say St. Peter and Peter's Church? Who married them? Dude, they are married in the eyes of the church. She says, "I can't go into church and get married. I've already gone into church and got married." That is to say, God sees me as married. I can't go get married again. Not, I don't want to get married again. The church won't allow it. You're only allowed one husband, in other words. So she says, "By St. Peter, I can't do it. It's against the rules." Mother is astounded at this response.
So wait, we're both.
Juliet had said to Mom, "I'll look to like if looking like you move." The assumption was, yeah, okay, come back tomorrow. We'll do a little bit more work.
I'll be right back.